first up today, one mom's worry, or her story rather, about working for the CIA. We all struggle to find a work-life balance, but for this mom, that meant leaving her family behind and going to a war zone.
Lisa Maddox grew up in Mequon and went to Homestead High School. She spent 15 years working for defense intelligence agencies, including the CIA. Lisa was recently featured in the Showtime documentary called The Longest War about her time in Afghanistan. Good morning to you, Lisa.
Hi, good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, one thing we learned right off the bat from you, and I want you to delineate between, is it's CIA officer, not agent. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think a lot of movies misuse the term a little bit. For us, agent is kind of that spy that you recruit abroad. The officer is the employee that works for the CIA. Yep.
So you're not a spy. That's what we needed to know.
I'm glad you clarified that. Okay, so we have to talk about this new documentary that you're featured in. You were a CIA targeter. That's a term also I'd never heard before. What does that mean?
So I did do some work as a targeter, but I was actually primarily an analyst and an analytical manager in the CIA's Directorate of Analysis. We call it the DA. And that type of work, which does include some targeting, which brings the operational element into it as well. You're basically sifting through a ton of intelligence and data, and all that is riddled with lies and inaccuracies, and you have to pull it together. And we write reports and do briefings for senior level policymakers and military leaders, and then like international partners around the world to give them that information.
It's incredible. I know as a CIA, former CIA officer, because we'll get to what you're doing now in just a minute, there's restrictions on what you can talk about. There's limitations, and really a lot of it is your personal stories. I'd like to think from a movie standpoint, it'd be I could tell you, but then I'd have to, you know, you can finish that one, right? But the question is, this movie that's coming out, the documentary that's aired, what is your feeling about the effectiveness of the role of the CIA in the longest war that we've experienced?
Yeah, that got to the core of the documentary, and I think they did a really good, measured job of presenting the war and people's different perspectives. Mm-hmm. But, for me personally, I'm proud to have served alongside just incredible, bright and well-intentioned folks trying to disrupt the violence there and pave the way for a better future. But the documentary, as it explored like the mission over time, has just become really, really complicated there. And a lot of people have suffered. And my heart just really aches for the people of Afghanistan.
Mm. Yeah, and it's such a, the title is so appropriate with The Longest War. I know that you witnessed the attack on the Pentagon on 9/11. How did that experience for you affect your desire to work in the intelligence community?
It absolutely inspired and influenced me to make sure something like that never happens again. I had just moved to DC a week prior to start graduate school there at Georgetown when the attacks happened. So it was a pretty scary time, and I was actually enrolled in the National Security Studies program at Georgetown. So quite the timing to start a program like that and have some of the key experts in DC sitting in front of me after those attacks and talking through it. It's pretty meaningful.
Mm. I know you spent some time obviously in Afghanistan. How long were you over there? And as you met people who were from Afghanistan, how did they feel? Give us a little insight to if they felt safe.
Unfortunately, I can't provide a lot of details about my time over there, but I definitely met Afghans, worked alongside them, and very difficult to see what they faced on a day-to-day basis. It's a really big country, so the security environment is fluid and different depending on where you are, but definitely just a ton of insecurity overall on a day-to-day basis.
Mm. So Showtime premiered The Longest War last month. I know it followed the penultimate episode of Homeland. A lot of people know in Homeland that Claire Danes was a star in it. We wondered, since we heard your story, if her character is sort of loosely based on your life.
Definitely not. That was a totally separate show. I watched it throughout my career, and my friends and I would chuckle, as we all do at, TV shows and how they embellish certain things. But definitely a different story, yeah.
What does your husband think of your job?
So my husband's in the same industry, so he totally gets it. We know we can't talk about our work at home. We support each other. We've both traveled to dangerous parts of the world, so we accept it and are proud of each other.
What do your kids say that you do?
You know, it's funny. I recently told them that I worked for CIA after I had left, and they were excited. But I would come home from world travels and stuff and tell my girls about kind of where I'd been and what I'd seen. So they weren't that surprised. I'm pretty proud of them. They know where Afghanistan is. They're 8 and 9 years old, and they know about war and not all the violent details, obviously, but they're pretty aware for their age.
Oh, I love that. Hey, you got it. We're running out of time, but you got to tell us this really cool thing that you're doing now, because I think it's having retired, where you've put your skills.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking. So I found a way to transfer my skill set from targeting and analysis to genealogy. It's actually kind of a similar target set. You take, that family member, that ancestor, and you build out their story and their network. Kind of a similar approach.
And it's not just a cover? No, I'm just kidding.
Good question. I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've absolutely loved having you with us today, Lisa. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. We're going to give the information so you can stream The Longest War. It's on Showtime. We're excited to have Lisa having joined us today. We appreciate the time that she gave us, and good luck today on your new genealogy venture. It's pretty cool.